You're listening to WeP3 Radio, produced with the partnership of Raised Across America Radio, with the mission to remember the fallen, honor those who have served, and teach your future generations the value of freedom created by the men and women who have served our country. Currently playing on WeP3 Radio, Brian the Road, Miles.
Something going on around here. I ain't sure just what.
You got it!
Shock Away. Conquerors, roll out. You're watching or listening to We Got Your 6 and 6 Patriot Playtime. We the people, the People's Patriot Project.
To put your skill set, your thoughts, and ideas, or want to help continue the mission, you have come to the right place. We are the People's Patriot Project, and we are the shock and awe when it comes to meeting the needs of our veterans and first responders. We are dealing with a new enemy in today's world where the wounds are not always seen. We want you to be a part of this mission in saving lives and making a difference. Welcome to We Got Your 6 at 6 Patriot Playtime. Here's the WeP3 Team bringing you today's best heroes hits in the boots on the ground organizations that are saving lives. And as always, Patriot Pride.
Left, your left, left, right, your left. You got it!
Shock Away.
Good evening and welcome to our weekly show or podcast with the People's Patriot Project. We call this We Got Your 6 at 6. Every week we bring you a guest. Many times we bring a new artist and we share all the good and sometimes not so good things happening in our world. I'm Andrea Eichmann, and this week our guests are Aman Negassi, who will be helping us take a look at our health choices, and Ryan Th30ry, who will be sharing music tonight. Both guests are pretty exciting from what I've seen, so I'm even more excited to meet them in person. Tonight's sponsors include Derek Iozio with Catch-22, Operation Texas Strong, the Boho Hobos Hideaway, and our very own Kimmer Gwinner, who will be sharing some of her poetry tonight. We also have Brian Kenzer. He shares his business with us and supports WeP3. His business is called Smart Living Today. You can reach out to Brian to discuss getting on the right side of your health, sponsoring American families, jobs, and the economy, and supporting the WeP3 mission. There is a little link coming your way right now. Check out those products. I've been part of the group with Brian for a little of almost a year and a half, and I haven't tried everything, but there's so many amazing products. It's changed my way of shopping. If you happen to have to leave tonight's show or you missed last week's show, you can always hear us on Reads Across America Radio Sundays at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find Reads Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Just search the word Reef. That is on Reads Across America Radio. Thank you to our sponsors, our guests, and our viewers. Before starting this week's show, we are going to ask that you take off your hats. Stand if you can, cover your heart, and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here we go. We're all here. We're in the house. We're ready to roll. Those who are listening to this on podcasts are going to see the live action stuff we got going. But this is some pretty exciting stuff with some pretty exciting guests, some pretty exciting things going on in the world. Mr. Negassi, how you doing, brother?
Happy to be with you, Mark.
I think Andrea was really exciting to say that the things she's seen about you is exciting, because half the pictures that you got out there are shirtless with your abs hanging out all over the place. So I think that's probably why she's all excited about that. Just a hankling.
No. Never would I abuse the male spectra in that way, shape, or fashion.
I appreciate that.
Well, I definitely want there to be there's other focus I definitely think you guys would appreciate more.
Just teasing and jest. And so one of the first things we want to start our show off with was a segment we used to put at the end of our show, and that is our call to action. And there is something I think all of us can get involved with, all of us can do. It takes literally about 30 seconds. And to be honest with you, if all you have is 30 seconds to help humanity, to help your brothers and sisters, to invest in the people that are in your life, if all you can do is 30 seconds, I honestly want to say shame on you. But if you don't see it as a task and a chore, I'd like you all to take your phones out right now, and I'd like you to type in real quick into your text thread, just thinking about you. That's it. Cut, copy, paste that into 6 different conversations. Sorry, not sorry. Challenge yourself. Challenge some of those relationships you have in your life. Challenge some of the people you have in your life. Bottom line is, we're built to be in relationships. We're built to be part of each other's lives. And it's conversations like that will draw people's attention. And you know what? If they ask, well, why the heck are you getting a hold of me? Just say, hey, I was just thinking about you. Or B, we're listening to this thing called the People's Patriot Project. We got your 6 at 6. We're here to help veterans and first responders across the country. And ultimately, we are a mission-oriented, boots on the ground, action first, talk second organization that wants to make sure that we are reaching our brothers and sisters that may or may not be in crisis, and that's the bottom line. Yes, we are mission first with veterans and first responders, but if there is someone in your list that you think is important enough just to hear just thinking about you, send that to them too. That's our whole country is dealing with this kind of stuff. So that's our mission. That's our call to action. Get her done. Jonathan, what do you got in the news, brother?
This is okay, I'm ready. The month of January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. During this month, the emphasis is placed on creating awareness about human trafficking and the great human rights violation that it is. We spread awareness throughout January about the global crisis so that people can contribute in any way to help rescue victims, catch and prosecute perpetrators, and improve the lives of the survivors. At least 4.8 million people are trafficked worldwide for sexual exploitation. 4.1 million people are trafficked for forced labor each year. The women and girls are victims 70% of the time, and 1 million children are trafficked every year for sexual exploitation. Human trafficking earns a global profit of roughly $150 billion each year. January 14th is Ratification Day. Ratification Day commemorates when the Treaty of Paris was ratified, which would end the Revolutionary War and establish the United States as an independent nation. There was a long road between the conclusion of the Revolutionary War's hostilities and this day, and the treaty still needed approval in Paris after Ratification Day. But it was on this day that the United States Congress officially declared the war to be over. Congress initially met on December 13th to ratify the treaty, but only 7 of the 13 states could make it due to the harsh winter conditions. By January 14th, enough delegates would arrive to hold a vote and acquire the necessary signatures. The Treaty of Paris was ratified by the United States Congress on January 14th, in 1784. And January 17th is International We Are Not Broken Day. The day creates awareness about the fact that despite what society thinks of individuals with a history of physical and emotional trauma, mental illness, amputations, or disorders that seem invisible, they are human beings. The word broken indicates something that is not working, and we here at the People's Patriot Project know that we are not all broken. Trauma and disease should not define what or who we are, but if we give in to this broken tag or mantra, it could lead to depression, isolation, and misplaced guilt. The day seeks to put an end to this cycle and challenges the societal norms. That is all in the news for this week.
I love it, Jonathan. Thanks for adding that last little note in there, man. I appreciate the fact that, I mean, it is important to realize we got stuff. We might be hurting. We might even be in pain, but we are not broken. And if you buy into that conversation, that's a whole nother level of something we got. I'm springing a little surprise on my team tonight because I'm adding a new segment to the show because it's really important that we do this. And I'm going to pick on Mr. Negassi, where every weekend we're going to ask one person, what did you have for dinner tonight?
I didn't have dinner today, but yesterday, I might have just had some, if I remember. Usually I eat my meals more in the morning, so I guess maybe I had some chips, tortilla chips with salsa, but more
some
pico de
tortilla
gallo.
chips and salsa. Well, and so that's an easy one because it comes down. So the next question is oh yeah, because it's like sometimes there's that kind of joking line that says, "Did it kill you?" So tonight is, "Oh yeah, can you make that into a taco?"
I love it.
You can, and that's for Jeremy.
Yep. You can do like a little bean dip with it.
We're gonna try and make everything into a taco. I think that's the plan in life. It is good. It's a vehicle of consumption, is what it is. You have a little tortilla, throw some spaghetti in there. I mean, one of my favorite lunches is peanut butter jelly and a tortilla. I roll it up and we good.
Never tried that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everyone that's here. Thank you for the shout outs. Amanda, good to see you here. Jeremy Daniels, always in the house. Appreciate you. Love your brother. Joe Falusi, good to see you, a musician that we got in our world and doing his thing. Jeremy Daniels there. Bill from Cody, Wyoming, originally. Good to see you, brother. I have a picture. One of these days I'm going to pull it up. I have a picture of me and Billy when we were wee little Boy Scouts, and I sent him a picture. I sent it to him the other day. That goes back a few years, but we are definitely young, and I'm looking dumb. He's looking stoic and buff and gruff like he is now, but on to the world to be in the land of the law enforcement officer. We appreciate you, Billy. All right. Is everyone's New Year's resolutions already over? Get them done already? Done? It's over with? No, you're still working on it?
Mine's going on all year long.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I told myself that I was going to get back into the gym and start working out, put a little more weight on me because I'm like 138 pounds soaking wet. So I'm wanting to put a little meat on my bones. So I started a membership at Planet Fitness, and the wife and I are going to start going 5 days a week and really kind of, she wants to cut some weight and I want to put on some weight, and we're going to really hold each other accountable. So
I think I ate 135 pounds of tacos tonight, just so you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's not very much. I'm not proud of it, but
I got a guy that can help you with this stuff.
Really?
Yeah. If you look all the way to your far right, you got Mr. Aman who's going to share all that stuff with us today. That's what he does. He's a fitness guru.
There we go. Okay. Yeah.
So,
I lost all this weight after my shoulder surgery when I was active duty in the Marines, and I just lost all motivation to go back to the gym. So ever since then, I've just been 140-ish pounds, and I'm over it. So my goal by the end of the year is to get between 160 and 165 and gain a solid 25, 30 pounds.
the ebbs and flows of the fitness world. Been there, done that, and it is good to set those goals and stick to them. So our first segment we go through, we share who we are, what our mission is, and a little bit about our military service. Go ahead, Aman. Go with that.
Military service?
Yeah.
So I'm actually currently still in the Air Force. Actually, this year will be about 9 years. I know I don't look it. So I'm right now, like I started out as a cyber in the world of cyber, but now I'm a medic. Currently, right now, finishing up school for physical therapy. I did have work during the COVID-19 for helping out with contact tracing, case investigating, vaccine distribution. I've also been on 2 tours, one to Kuwait, one to Qatar. So I've used now my background with the world of cyber, IT, computer science towards like my fitness background, which is why I'm using medic to complement the skills for PT.
Awesome. I have a cousin in the Air Force, actually. He's stationed out in Wichita. Yeah, he's a airframes guy.
Have you ever been, and I asked this, I like asking this to Air Force guys to get their opinion, but I've always heard that, was it Minot, North Dakota?
Yes, that's the unpopular base that everybody hopes they don't get.
Yeah.
Although it's funny because I remember I actually knew somebody who gave up their Hawaii spot for, I believe it was Minot, because they're more of a country boy.
So why is that the least desired base?
I think it's probably has to do with the area. Maybe just not much to do.
Have you ever been to Minot, North Dakota?
I didn't even know that was a real thing.
If you've been there, raise your hand. There's that show, the Yellowstone, right?
Yeah.
And there's farm buildings down, but then you go back to the 1923 series of Yellowstone when there's nothing anywhere. That's what's in my net. That's what you get to see. There is
It sounds terrible.
nothing. It is a prairie, and it blows snow all winter long. I'm sorry. If you're a Minot fan, go Minot. If not, you probably won't ever go there. It's the tundra. It's the tundra for the United States. It really is.
Jeez. Yeah. Note to self: don't go there.
I'm sure there's some good qualities. I'm sure there's some good qualities there. I hear it's better than Iowa. That's all I got. That's all I heard, though.
You're such a pride. Nothing's better than God's country. You know this. Stop.
I didn't even know Iowa was nicknamed God's country, but I'd have to visit Iowa one of these days.
See, you'd be convinced once you got there.
And I know somebody I went to base with, good friend who is from Iowa. I still connected with him, but I haven't really spoken to him in a while. But I keep him in mind.
Aman, did you get a chance to share what your mission is?
Yes. So my mission right now, I'm actually currently building up a veterans community around mobility coaching. I gotta actually nickname it Stop Death by Desk. The reason why I call it Stop Death by Desk is because I want to highlight the different battles that veterans face. Not only because, people are not as active as they used to be, but also with veterans, they kind of face, two different battles. The one, obviously with their body, and the second is in their mind. Because I know it's one thing to, be able to say you want to kind of ease on your back pain, you want to really alleviate the pain you're feeling, but it's kind of another thing with actually wanting to do it. Kind of like leading a horse to water that's not really thirsty.
Absolutely. And that back stuff is another thing altogether, because when your back's all jacked up, you don't want to do much more than nothing. And been there, done that. And sometimes just getting the weight and getting the movement on is enough to kind of get you going in the right direction. And so I'm excited to hear more from you, brother.
Yeah, just to add one thing about it too is, especially reading the studies around back pain, that I hope that people can understand. If it feels as if it feels so overwhelming, it's supposed to be, most debilitating, like psychological effect on people. But I also think that what's also awful about it is the fact that the medical community's approach to it. So what I mean by that is just that when it comes to how the medical community looks at it, like say, for example, with an MRI scan, when they look at somebody, they might see, a disc bulge, and they look at, hey, that's the source of your back pain. But that's not necessarily the case. Like, just because a scan can look at, an abnormality doesn't mean so. When they look at actually a third of individuals, healthy, pain-free adults, they found that they have a disc bulge, and that only increases over time as they get older. And then in 2006, that they actually they collected an MRI scan of 200 individuals, and they found that there wasn't really much change going on with as far as the back pain goes versus the disc bulge. So I guess to highlight, it's just that the way, whether you see it at the VA or even in the civilian world with how they're treating back pain, I think it's kind of hard. You might want to take it with a grain of salt with what their solution is versus, us kind of taking care of it ourselves.
Absolutely. There's so much I want to talk about in this area too, but we'll get to that part. We'll get Ryan in here in the conversation. Brother, tell us who you are, tell us about your military service, and tell us what your mission is, which, big surprise, Ryan is our musician for the night, so I can't stole your thunder. But tell us how you got there and what you're doing with it.
Yeah. So my name is Ryan Dorfeld. I go by Th30ry. It's my artist name, Th30ry, if you guys want to ever check out my music. I mainly do hip hop music. I can branch out, do different genres. Sometimes I do a little pop. Sometimes I do a little rock. Sometimes I'll do punk. But for the most part, it's hip hop. I'm a huge hip hop head. I grew up listening to hip hop all my childhood. So I just have a very big appreciation for the culture and for the art and the craft and the skill set that goes into it. I started doing music back in 2019. I had a really bad anxiety attack. Very long story, but to keep it short, the anxiety attack was probably the best thing that happened to me because in order to combat that depression and anxiety and the stress, because I was actually hospitalized for that. And the doctor said I needed to find a way to cope with it. So in order to do that, I started writing poetry. And I was always really good with poetry and words and telling stories and expressing myself. So I put that to some YouTube instrumentals, and some friends heard it and they were like, dude, this is actually really good. And the rest is history. Now I'm, 6 years later, about to be, and I got a lot going on. I own an LLC here in Kentucky. It's actually trademarked, so I could operate in all 50 states. It's called From the Bottom. We call it FTB for short, the acronym for it. And I'm turning it into a team of like-minded, talented artists who are also passionate about their craft, and we're kind of taking our own independent artist to the next level, like with each one of us. So far, there's 4 that are a part of it. We got a lot of big things coming 2025. So I am a Marine Corps veteran. I was active duty from 2010 to 2015. My MOS was 6483. I was an electronic countermeasures technician. I worked on missile detection radar systems, heads-up displays, PRQ-7 radios, so on and so forth. Really, the mission, I tie a lot of that into my music. Kind of just the overall message would be the mission, and that's ultimately that, no matter how many no's that you hear, and no matter how many people might doubt you or try to bring you down and tell you that you can't do something, in the Marine Corps, I'm not sure if there are any other military or Marine veterans in here on this call right now, but if there are, Semper Fi. But I know in the Marine Corps we're taught that you can't tell us nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to tell you, watch me, and I'm going to make it happen, and then rub your face in it later. So that's kind of what I do for the music. I heard a lot of no's, and you're the wrong skin color, and you're too old, and you're this and you're that, and what are you doing? You got a family, you got a wife and kids to worry about. And I'm just like, whatever, dude. So don't let people tell you that you can't do something, and follow your dream. And if you want it bad enough, to go after it and do what you love, and don't have any regrets on that. So yeah, a little bit about me.
Yeah. Okay. We got 3 songs lined up for you. Let's get one rolling. Which one do you want to start with?
Whichever you want. The music video would probably be the better one. Actually, the other artist who's in that music video with me, Berserk, he's actually the guy that's been walking back and forth in the kitchen. No, you're good.
It's screen time too.
Yeah. It's my buddy Berserk. He's a very, very talented artist, good friend, and my roommate now also. So we're doing a lot of really big music things too. So yeah.
So is there a lead in for Hear Me Though?
What do you mean a lead in?
Like kind of like where it came from, the thought that inspired it, or the purpose for it?
So there's a really big producer. His name's Kato on the track. He's produced for, he's produced instrumentals for countless huge names, and he actually gave away a pack of 5 beats for free to people that followed him on Instagram, as long as they, messaged him and were like, hey, or they commented on the status that he posted and said, if you want 5 free beats, comment down here. And so Joey Berserk had actually commented on it, and I did, but he told me about it first. And one of the beats that was in that 5 beat pack was the Hear Me Though beat. But we took all 5 of those beats and we turned them into an EP. So we actually have a 5-song EP out right now. It's out on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all that. And it's called Don't Play. So if you go to mine or Berserk's Spotify or Apple Music, any streaming platform, YouTube, you can find the Don't Play EP on there. The whole thing is great. But Hear Me Though was the first song we did together for the EP, and it is incredible. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear it and play it.
This is Ryan Th30ry with Hear Me Though.
But they don't hear me though. But they don't hear me though. But they don't hear me though. When I hop on the beat, I'm gonna be something like an oddity prodigy. Oh my god, he be rocking these beats of modern day Socrates. I'm unlocking the lock with no key. I'm not what they thought I would be. No mockery, flocking to see my cabinet of curiosities. Twilight zone beside my bone. I'm split. I need like 5 mics on inside my dome. There's no lights on. You get what I mean? I'm bygone. When I write my song, really wanna bite on like snakes. I say, better yet pythons. When I write my wrong, despite how long they never wanna break or be bygones. Mind of the comic, always thinking of new material. Out of the box, the way I kill these beats is serial. Even though the verse is hot and blasting through your stereo. They don't really hear me though. 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 They don't really hear me though.
Yeah, it's time to clocking again, hopping the wave, get to the booth, make draws start dropping again, stopping, never been no option, cause my competition been flopping again, topping the 10 best rappers coming out of my city, got them all sobbing again, plotting to win, but I got a question, when is hip-hop gonna start hip-hopping again, Haters mobbing again, shocking to see them all start flocking again. I'm gonna get the mic cocked, but I can't let y'all's blood get on my conscience again. I'd rather fuck your girl and after take the bitch shopping again. And she gonna come back knocking again, sopping wet, gotta start mopping again. Guess they never give a fuck unless I'm popping pills, sipping lean. Y'all say anything so you can cop a deal, so it seem. I've been proud of all my shit, I keep it real, being me. But if I gotta really rap, I shoot to kill, R.I.P. And they don't even know. Been giving y'all this heat, you sleeping and it really show. It's time to wake them up with shit, they make the speakers blow. But they don't really hear me though.
They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though.
Yeah.
Fire. That was
Thank
fire.
you.
There it is.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we were just having some fun with that, man. The whole EP was a lot of fun to do. That song seems to get the most attention, mostly because we put a visual to it. It's the only song so far that we've put a music video to. But you know, we had a lot of fun with that one. So
sorry, I just got informed my battery's running low, so I better take care of that.
That wouldn't be good.
No, that would shut our whole show down. That would be terrible.
I feel like you have the kind of song that a pastor would be playing for guilty pleasure.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that. So the EP actually has a bunch of different vibes. So that's more like a drum and bass, you know, just kind of have fun with the bars when you're rapping kind of thing. The one song that actually is the most popular that I've seen, at least from my streaming numbers, has been called. It's on the EP, but it's called "The One I Want," and it's the last song on the EP. And it's more of like a pop hip hop sound, but it's a song about talking to music, and basically it putting you through all these mental struggles, because you know, as an independent artist especially, you know, you gotta go through a lot of things, and you stress out a lot trying to promote your craft and promote your name and gain the followers. And you know, you post a video or a reel or something on social media, it may not get the output that you were expecting. And so you go through a lot of, you know, mental anguish trying to get your name out there. And and perform at shows and whatnot, and it costs a lot of money, and it's just kind of deflating sometimes. But even though all that stuff is what music's giving you throughout the time, you still want it. So like, you're still the one that I want. So that's kind of what that song is about, and it's a really good one.
What is the feedback you get on your music?
As of right now, it's been gaining a lot more traction. I've been a little bit more consistent in 2024 than any other year, as far as like my activity on social media, promoting and posting audio visual content. So like, even if it's like a 30 or 60-second TikTok about, of me just in front of a microphone rapping or singing a song, whatever it may be. But a lot of the music that I put out now is usually received very well. And it's still growing. There's still so much room to grow and improve. The numbers aren't, where I want them to be, obviously. But again, I don't necessarily do it for numbers. I don't do it because I want to make millions and millions of dollars. That would be nice. Because ultimately, as an artist, as a full-time artist, which I am, I want to be able to make a living off of doing what I love. That's kind of the whole goal for everybody, right? So if I were to be able to make a comfortable living just doing music, I don't need to be a multi-millionaire to be happy with that, but it's getting a lot bigger, and it's gonna get. I think 2025 is going to be a really big year, kind of like a breakout year. I just kind of decided to invest a little bit more into my company, into my LLC, From the Bottom, and we have a lot of plans with that, and some of it is looking like it's going to open some big doors. So you guys may be seeing me on a bigger platform here soon. So
very good, very good. Now, you kind of mentioned earlier that you fit a potpourri of styles, or how would you categorize yourself?
Yeah, good question, actually. I think I would just kind of categorize myself as just an artist. Not necessarily tied to one specific genre or one style. Obviously, with some of the songs, with a lot of the songs, you'll hear some of the more prominent influences like Eminem. I get it all of the time. I think it's just the tone of my voice and the way that I rap. But I get it all the time. You sound like Eminem. When did Eminem get a feature with you? And it's like, ha ha ha, I'm white and I rap, and so they immediately are like, Eminem. I find it as a compliment. He's the #1 selling hip hop artist in history for hip hop, and he's kind of the GOAT. So if they compare me to Eminem, I'm not going to be like sad. I'm not going to be sad about it.
Absolutely.
But I just consider myself an artist. Whatever music is something that is based on feel. And if you feel like you are wanting to do hip hop that day, or maybe you heard a cool hip hop beat and you're like, I kind of want to write to this. Okay, cool. So I'll go do that. But I might hear, like, I went to Louder Than Life back in September here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's like the #1 rock festival in the country. And they have it in Louisville every year. And it's like 20 minutes from my house. So this was the first, or 2024, it was the first year that we actually went. And it's a 4-day festival. And it's nothing but rock music. They had 3 6 Mafia there that year. That was kind of cool to see them live. I'd never seen them live. So, but that was the only rap show. And I was super inspired to do a rock style EP after that, because I love rock music. The only music that I don't personally like, and y'all can crucify me for it if you want to, it's just not my cup of tea, but I don't do country. I don't like country music. I kind of think it sounds very cliche with 95% of the songs. I respect country artists all day. I'm not taking anything away from the talent or the craft or the songwriting or anything like that. It's just not something that I enjoy listening to, nor would I enjoy making it. It's not my style. So, I grew up in Chicago, so my wife grew up in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and she loves country music. So I just don't share that, that interest. So
that's fair. Everyone's got their own stuff.
Yeah. I hear that all the time. Oh, so you got to listen to music if it's about gang and shooting shots and blasting off guns. And I'm just like, no, I didn't live a gang life just because I grew up in Chicago. Like, yeah, I grew up around some of it, but I didn't participate in any of that stuff. So why would I talk about it in my music if I didn't live it? And that's another thing that I think a lot of people really kind of respect my artistry for. Is because I hear it all the time, especially from new fans that I gain, that they enjoy the fact that I'm authentic and I don't try to put on a front to, sell records or anything like that. I just keep it original and talk about my life and my struggles and hoping that somebody who was in my position when I was listening to certain artists and finding that peace of mind and that savior kind of mentality from some of those artists. I want someone to be able to do that with my music. So, I think that's how I'd categorize myself, at least.
Good to see you, Mr. Th30ry. Good to see you, brother. Aman, we kind of got into what your mission does. Let's get into a deeper, larger conversation about the specifics of your mission and where you want to go with it.
So when it comes to it, it's more of a giving back to veterans, especially for the opportunities that, the Air Force has afforded me, in the GI Bill and, skills and experience that I've gained, but also really seeing the unique problems that veterans deal with compared to the broader population. So, to give you an example, when I mentioned my tour, when some of you guys went on a tour, they said that, I found that 78% of veterans returning who've dealt with an injury reported sleep insomnia problems. I think also one thing that people look at and miss out on is, when you're getting out of the military, it's also, you're kind of overwhelmed, what to do next, but also at the same time, the problems that you've sustained, not just from injury, but, other problems from the result of your lifestyle now kind of coming back because you haven't really confronted it. So, especially since, I don't know if you guys know this, but the U.S. population is, when they looked at, the health of everybody's metabolism, they've only found that less than 7% is absolutely metabolically healthy. So even athletes are not even actually safe from that stat. So when I talk about metabolism, I'm talking about, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, triglycerides. And I know the mentality around, whether it's Marines, Semper Fi or this, where you kind of have to go on the missions, your health is not obviously the priority. And looking at that, especially when it comes to the amount of rucking that we do, it's, they say, mission first, people always, but it's kind of counterintuitive when it comes to the mission being at the expense of your health.
Absolutely. And I don't think there's a lot of kinesiologists in the military. So when they're throwing, like you said, the rucks on these young men and women when they're of we age and doing the amount of marching that they do, which again, I think it requires a certain kind of person to get through those. And I think some people are capable, but I don't think all people are capable. And it is detrimental too. Being a gunner, I played well into college football, played semi-pro football, did my military stuff. I got back stuff from top to bottom. It is what it is. And to have a conversation with someone about where do we go? And you're right. The first thing they want to do is they want to attack the bulging discs and, and entitle me degenerative disc disease, which I think that affects 99.7% of all mankind is the degenerative disc disease because it's just the way it is. It's the joint that's probably used the most in structure and support. And I don't know that there's a clear science, and I can tell the doctors and the physical therapists what works, and what works is keeping it moving, building the strength, building an endurance, and I'm sure you can help us with more.
So I want to elaborate. So when I told you about the whole stop death by desk, I know, I'm actually a big Superman guy, but really when it comes to the logo at what stop death by desk is, I kind of draw upon like Atlas, the Greek Titan and everything when it comes to, shouldering like the weight of the earth, where similar to where veterans, not only, you kind of feel as if you're dealing with so much injuries, but also the amount of the weight of the world, it kind of just weighing down on your mind. For me, like I really want to emphasize really two main things, and one is it's strength and resilience. And so what I mean by that is that when it comes to the whole thing about strength, so my thing is that since childhood, being a victim of the lifelong YMCA family package, I've been really obsessed about like human performance. And there was a certification that I got not too long ago, almost a year ago, and they were looking at the history of like around human performance. And they found that after World War II, the Soviet Union, they wanted to win gold medals at the Olympics. So they funneled a bunch of money into research. And so out of that research into human performance came the whole thing around strength science. So when you look at it, all that research was continuing until the Soviet Union collapsed. And when you look at today, the standard model of weightlifting, it goes back to the Soviet Union, where like meanwhile, the scientific revolution is around 600 years old, where this is around maybe 70 years old. And like there's still so much evolving, and the way they're kind of applying that information. And so what I mean by also say resilience to add to it, back to what Jonathan was saying about just because there's some problems doesn't mean you have to have that label. Where I see resilience as the opposite of perfection, because we all feel the need, we want to be perfect and this everything. And one thing that made me realize that why strength matters. So there's a veteran I've been helping for. I know him through a mutual friend. He's a Marine Corps veteran. He was in the Marines in the 90s before he was a detective. He actually, if you knew this guy, anybody who can tell you, this guy pretty much was the healthiest guy that they knew. He pretty much would, eat only organic. That's what they say. This guy literally has a gym in his own bedroom where pretty much he would literally get out of bed, lift weights, go to, work, lift weights, basically sleep, repeat. And the thing is, what happened was he had a genetic effect. There was a thing that happened that he had a stroke a year and a half ago that like led to him, now like losing his mobility, and it really demoralized him. Like, I mean, this guy thought he was doing everything right. His parents died young, but to see him pretty much, eating every fast food chain, you can see it in his kitchen. And so when I started helping him, one of the biggest, being able to accomplish seeing him getting stronger, because like I said, the goal was really strength, to be able to rely on not using his cane. But it was also seeing his morale being lifted up that kind of meant to it, because here this guy, in some sense, he was focused on perfection. But then, like, meanwhile, I kind of showed him that the real priority was resilience, because, it's kind of one thing that, you can do everything right. It's kind of like with people during COVID. They were constantly, doing, say, like going to the gym. But then when the gyms were locked down before COVID, like people just went, basically kind of sat on the couch, and they've probably just, drank more rather than say, finding alternatives. Where in my case, I was able to find alternatives. I started doing more gymnastics outside, and that's how I was able to kind of just you combine that. But it also taught me more about mobility, and so that's why I look at strength and resilience as those two, as the things that I would like to emphasize to people, especially veterans.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. You're needed, and what you're doing is needed, and the knowledge and skill set is needed. So we appreciate everything you're doing, brother.
Appreciate it.
Ryan.
Yes, sir.
You kind of trickled in with the thoughts, too, of where you're going, what you want to do. What are you getting done right now?
As far as musically?
Music, your service-related orientation, if you want to share what you're doing with the job. I mean, I do want to say our thoughts and our hearts are with you and your family at this time. Ryan has shared some information with us, and we're going to leave that up to him to share if he wants to share that out there. But he's got some hurdles. His family are going to be working together, and we're going to keep you in our thoughts through that time. So however you want to go with those pieces, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you very much. I'll touch on it. But ultimately right now, the idea for what I'm currently doing, so I'm a full-time student using my GI Bill right now at Full Sail University. And I'm actually studying music production and audio engineering. I have enough credits already for my associates in audio engineering, so I'm working towards the bachelor's with music production. And I'm kind of wanting to utilize that ultimately as like the plan A is always my music blowing up. That is the ultimate goal. That is my perfect, lifestyle goal. And, performances all around the country, all around the world. I'd love to go, travel to other countries and play shows. It's just been a dream. And I don't see that being too far out of reach anymore. So, that's the ultimate goal, but I want to utilize my degrees to also on the back end have utilize that towards my business with my LLC, my From the Bottom business. And I want to open my own studio and use those degrees to kind of have the necessary, paperwork, so to speak, to be able to record other artists who are also passionate about their crafts, just starting up. I do it all myself. I've been recording myself and I mix and master my own music. Occasionally I'll make my own instrumentals. It just kind of depends on if I'm feeling creative enough to make a beat myself. But ultimately I do record, mix and master all my own vocals. So I know how stressful it can be to find a music studio, and some of these studios, they charge an arm and a leg. And if you're, just a blue collar, guy trying to do music as a passion or a goal of yours or like a dream, and, you're working a 9 to 5, it can get expensive, So, remembering how that made me feel when I first started and going to studios and paying, $140 for a couple hours at a studio to feel like you didn't get anything done. And it drains you. So right now I have in my backyard, there's a separate building, there's a shed, and I turned that into my own recording studio, and I'll have other artists come and I charge significantly less than a lot of studios would charge, and I put out just as good, if not better quality than some of the studios. So just trying to give back to that artist community, and help them where they feel like they're lacking. And then on top of that, with the veterans community, how we've met as well, Mark, through Tip of the Spear. And I think that's where you were at. The Tip of the Spear podcast. So, I reached out, or someone reached out to me, David Willis. He reached out to me after he was at a concert of mine last year. I went to a veteran suicide awareness fundraiser show, and I performed at it I think it was in 2023, not last year. I was at the one last year too. I actually headlined it, but the first time David Willis heard my music was at that concert, and he was like, "Yo, like, you're really awesome. It's great what you're doing. You know, you're here to support the cause for veteran suicide awareness." I've personally have lost, brothers of mine to suicide, unfortunately. So, it's just something that I've always kind of been passionate about within the veteran community. So when David reached out to me, he started blasting my music out everywhere, and I've gotten nothing but an amazing amount of support from the veteran community and the podcasting community for veterans. And they've, I've been on multiple podcasts for them, multiple different ones. And just the amount of love that I get is so great, and it's so appreciative. And I want to give back to that. I always told my wife too, when the music really starts to pay off and I start, going somewhere with it, one of the first things that I want to really do is start to give back to the veteran community, whether it be to wounded warriors or, some kind of veteran, fundraiser or something that I can do personally, even if it's not tied to any of that, just something that I can, maybe develop myself and figure out a way to give back to that community, because, we're few, but we are the few, the proud, right? Just like the Marine Corps, is. And, we've a lot of veterans feel like, they don't really have anything to come back to sometimes after they get out of active duty, or it's this really rough transition from military life back to civilian life. So, any way that I can use my platform to help the veteran community as well is definitely something that I'm looking into for the future, because it's definitely a passion of mine to be able to do that. As far as what's going on, the hurdles, I'm not going to touch on it too much, but a couple nights ago, my wife had she suffers from chronic migraines, and we've been together for almost 12 years, and she's had it the entire time I've known her. But a couple nights ago, she had a really bad migraine, and it was different than any other one that she had. It was a lot more intense and painful. So she contacted her neurology department, or the neurologist that she was seeing yesterday in the morning, and they recommended that she go get a CT scan. And we got the CT scan at the emergency room immediately, and they wanted an MRI because they found something. So they did an MRI, and they found out that she has AVM, which is arteriovenous. I forget the dang name of it, but it's basically a blood. The blood vessels are bunched up, and they're swelling, and they're pressing against her brain, and that's what's causing her migraines. And it's like 3.8 centimeters wide, and they found it concerning. So we're going to be going through and dealing with that. And we just spent the last 24 hours in two different emergency rooms, because they had to transfer her to the neurology department at a different hospital on the other side of town. So yesterday was a really stressful day. We've gotten a lot of love and support from that as well. So we're home now. She's here, and we are going to be following up with her neurosurgeon sometime in the next 7 to 10 days to get some more imaging and testing done. And, she's going to need a pretty serious procedure sometime in the next month. And we're a little nervous about it, but we're hopeful about it, and it's going to be all right. So, but I appreciate all the love that everybody's given and all the support and positive vibes. So, but that just goes to kind of show you, a lot of what I stand for, no matter what obstacle is in your way, whether it be health, whether it be, the outside sources telling you that you can't do something or shouldn't do something. If you're passionate about it and And if you want to overcome that obstacle, then just go ahead and do it. So that's what we're doing, you know, pedal to the metal.
Let's spin one of your next songs. You got a lead in for Falling from Grace?
Yeah. So Falling from Grace was actually, it wasn't even supposed to be one of my songs, funny enough. I had originally made that beat for a friend of mine. So I produced the instrumental as well. And I liked it, so I wrote a chorus for it, or a hook, and I kind of liked the hook, so I recorded it, and I was like, oh, this sounds really awesome. I'll write a verse for it, and maybe I can just sell it to the guy with a Th30ry verse on it. And he was like, yeah, I'll do that. So I was like, cool. So I wrote a verse and I recorded it, and I was like, I think I'm onto something. So I did the whole song in like 3 hours, and I texted him after I was done with the whole song, and I'm like, I'm keeping this. I'm sorry. I'll make a different one for you. And he was like, you're good, man. Just, you know, make me something similar. So, but that's that one. And the Falling from Grace is kind of a song to remind people that, you know, while you're, especially in the music industry, you know, when you're trying to get out there and trying to build up a fan base and a following, you kind of sometimes feel like you get lost. Who you really are gets lost in trying to fit this, you know, mold for being accepted as somebody who does music and try to be popular and this and that. And there was a couple times that I felt like I was kind of, you know, falling and into that kind of trap. So just a kind of a gentle reminder to not care about the social media aspect and the comments and this and that, and don't lose who you are to try and, you know, succeed in this industry, and you know, because you feel like you're falling from grace and you're forgetting who you are. So that's the idea behind the song.
There we go. This is Th30ry, Falling from Grace.
But I don't really even know what I've been trying to prove. It feels like I've been falling from grace.
Yeah. Can't seem to escape this fate. Try pleasing the masses just to be told that my music ain't even great. It's way below average, people so cold, and how many followers you get defining success. It's crazy to think how I do what I love for a living, but somehow I still don't feel blessed. Ain't get enough views on that clip that I posted a week ago. God damn, must mean that I suck. Meanwhile, the video trending right now is a girl on the gram say she down to get fucked. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, I'm posting my content, crossing my fingers for luck, and hoping they playing my songs, but hundreds of streams will still only get you $1. So how in the hell do I win? Do I change who I am? Do I put out an album by selling drugs, fucking bitches, foreign cars, all the riches, gang, Glocks or switches? Maybe they'll love it and I can go viral, but is the fame worth it if I'm losing myself in the process, forcing my heart and my head in a downward spiral?
I feel like I've been losing myself for far too long. Far too long. For far too long. I don't really even know what I've been trying to do. It seems like I've been floating away. You love me, then you love me not. These feelings gon' put me in the grave, but I don't really even know what I've been trying to prove. It feels like I've been falling from grace. I won't lose myself just to prove myself to the people that don't want me to change.
But I gotta adapt, the old way don't work no more, so I gotta change up the grind before I get left behind. I'm already midway to 40 and worried I'll never be hitting my prime. You tell me to always stay true to myself, but then when I do it, I'm wasting my time. Just give me a sign. I don't wanna change, don't wanna conform, but I know I gotta do something and soon, cause then if I don't, I'm breaking the norm. And fuck social media, all of that hatred been bringing me down. I go to perform and post up a reel to show how I did, then get all these messages about how I'm corny. Nobody does that, you should just stop. Put out the song, I bet you it flops. Hang up the mic, your flow is too basic, no wonder your Spotify listeners dropped. This is the shit that I get for pursuing my passion, thinking one day I'ma pop, and maybe I might, but all that I know is I'm gonna continue to rise to the top. I ain't losing myself.
I don't really even know what I've been trying to do. It seems like I've been floating away. You love me, then you love me not. These feelings gon' put me in the grave, but I don't really even know what I've been trying to prove. It feels like I've been falling from grace.
That is Theory, Falling from Grace.
Yeah.
That cover design, I don't know if you did the cover design. That like is such a sick design.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did that. So the whole idea with the astronaut, it's kind of been a thing for me. I love space. Just it's always so fascinating to me. And with my album that I put out called Me Against the World, it was a conceptual album. It came out in November. November of 2022, and the whole story of the album was that my album that I had previously called Look at Me Now, I felt like it was like a breakout project for me, and it really showed my talent once I found out my style and my flow, and I kind of started to find who I was going to be as an artist and really showcase my talent. And I feel like the Look at Me Now album covered all those different bases and showed the improvement over the years. And the funny thing was, I was like, I'm gonna do like a space travel album. So I felt like with the Look at Me Now album, I was above everybody else that I was, quote unquote, competing against, in the industry. And I was like, man, I'm so high, I'm up in space above everybody else. So the beginning of the Me Against the World album, the story goes, I'm in a spaceship, and Berserk actually plays the artificial intelligence that's programmed into the ship, and we're getting messages from Earth, and it's basically all the hatred, signifying all the hatred that I would get over the years, where I was saying like earlier, oh, you're white, you're in your 30s, you're too old to be doing this and that, and you suck, and you're an Eminem wannabe, you're a Logic wannabe, all the stuff that I've heard. And just breaking me down, and I was like, okay, I'm going to send some messages back to Earth. And so I would fire back with the songs, and the end of the album, I'm overloading the CPU of the artificial intelligence in the ship, and it starts to malfunction, and the ship starts to go down, and the end of the album just ends with me crashing like down to, or like going down on a crash landing back towards Earth. And it ends with a scream, and that's it. And everybody was hitting me up like, what happens? Oh my God, you got to tell me. And I'm like, well, you're going to have to wait, because I'm actually working on a sequel to that album. It's called Crash Landing, and that's going to come out probably sometime in 2026. So
there's a lot of thought put into this. This is a series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very heavily influenced by somebody who I kind of idolize in music, just because I love his message and I love his style. I love his music, and I love what he, like the message that he puts out of peace, love, and positivity, and doing what you love. It's Logic. I'm a huge fan, diehard fan of his, and he kind of does this a very similar thing with the space thing, but we went a little bit different with how I wanted to do it. I didn't want to bite that idea, but it was very heavily influenced by that. So, but yeah, a lot of thought went into that. I get help from a lot of my buddies who are like, it would be kind of dope if you did this. And I'm just like, and then I'll kind of tweak it and run with it, or sometimes just take their idea and go with it if it's good. And yeah, I'm really excited for that one. I want that album to be like a top tier album of mine. Like I want that one. Every artist wants their next project to be bigger than the one before, but I really want this one to be huge. Like I'm going to put some money behind it as far as getting bigger features from bigger artists on there. I want to get the production all, exclusive for instrumentals and make, I'd like to make most of them myself, if not all of them. But I want to get those instrumentals from producers that I know personally who are bigger and have more of a name. And I really want this one to be a big project. So I'm very excited.
Outstanding stuff, brother. Aman, where are you going? What's the next big step, and what do you want to get done?
Well, my step is that I want to be able to keep helping some of those same veterans like Tony, who I mentioned before with the stroke. but also I guess to really prove point with the methodology that I'm kind of bringing, and it's really that none of us should really be in a state of inertia, and so what I mean by that is just inactive. That's kind of what my message is about. Where I think that a lot of what affects veterans is complacency, where not knowing what to do, because I think also too because there's always that accountability that really kept them kept us in the best of shape. And when you're leaving, and social media can also like play a role where I think really just amplifies the negative thoughts that we may have, where I think that there kind of needs to be a need for community. So I want to be able to kind of build a community. And even the reason behind it too is there was a study that came out in the 70s where they actually they had a bunch of researchers. What they did was they took a mice and they put them, there was mice they had in a cage. And what they did was they had one of the waters was laced with fentanyl. And so what they did was the mice were addicted to the fentanyl. But then what they did later on, and the mice actually ended up like dying. But then what they did was they did another study where this time instead of just the cage, they also kind of had like a rat park where they had like, the hamster wheel. They had also like other people, and they still incorporated the water as well as the water that was laced with the fentanyl. And they actually found that the mice weren't really that addicted to the fentanyl. They were actually drinking water. And I guess the takeaway from that was that, when you're kind of have nothing to do in this, it's kind of really easy to kind of overdose. Where when you have a supporting, thriving community, I think it's easy to excel in it. And so, the way I see it, with what I would kind of go with this community, is being able to have those buddy checks, but also support individual goals. Because actually, it really kind of runs to even the philosophy around why injuries tend to happen, especially with veterans, and it's muscle imbalances. Because when I mentioned about back pain, one fact that I've actually found about it is that that with how like poor posture tends to like happen with a lot of people, especially from rucking. So there was a journal on physiology, and they actually found for every inch that our neck moves forward, our head moves forward, that's about 10 to 15 pounds of additional force on our spine. So when you think about that, it's like our head weighs about 10, 15 pounds. So that means instead of walking with, say, a volleyball for a head, we're kind of now walking with a bowling ball for a head because our spine is out of alignment. And so when you look at the military, one thing that you look at is how, they always kind of, one thing I say is that you're only as strong as your weakest link. And, if somebody fails, everybody else fails. And it's that accountability, that support that happens. And so I kind of look at how practical that is to even outside the military, especially when it comes to, injuries and, to alleviate them.
It's the pieces of information that you're sharing. My brain wants to say, what can we do to get this information to people prior to service? Because there needs to be more education. That's the bottom line. We need to have our fitness leadership more trained in all services. Go ahead.
One thing that also I do want to add, I think that one of the biggest things that I've kind of learned as well is that, learning is one thing, but being able to unlearn bad ideas is another. And so when I think about that, for me, the way I feel, to me internally, like I feel that I'm in a unique role because I kind of feel I'm kind of between, the fitness industry and the healthcare industry. And I know that a lot of times you might see a lot of influencers tend to just, say, oh, the healthcare industry or, VA, where when you look at the health industry, there's some valid criticisms about the fitness industry with, how there's not as much accountability with the supplements and what they promote, where I kind of look at with the health care industry, where I don't know if you know this, but one of the reasons why you see that they're always kind of pushing surgery onto veterans, even though there could be other alternatives. I mean, in the 80s, Congress came up with there was a agency for healthcare policy and research. This was towards evidence-based medicine, and they set some guidelines in the 90s to be able to figure out how can they treat back pain, like low back pain. But there was obviously like a big complaints with the surgeon industry, the surgeons, and they kind of went to Congress, and they actually got rid of the program, the agency. They did bring the agency back, but they like literally cut its budget so much, and then you kind of see where things are, or even why they're so quick to advise like, hey, if you have an issue, take a pill. If you have some pain, let me recommend you some surgery. Where I kind of want to be able to really have, push people in the sense of like, navigating through, what's factual versus infactual. But at the same time, obviously, I want to be able to make sure that I'm still, changing as well as I do, where I don't stick to one, set of views. For me, it's just that I'm constantly looking at the studies because, sports science is constantly evolving. And I think that, there's kind of a lot of dogma that tends to happen with these people, especially with what changes with the textbooks and, even the industry.
Well, keep up the good work, brother. We'll get you back in here for one more section at the end for our final thoughts. Miss Kimmer.
Good evening.
You got a treat for us tonight?
I do. It's called my New Year's episode. Today I have a session with my therapist, Nicole, right after my group in a peer support role. What will be discussed a little later today, I guess it all depends on me and what I have to say. I'm sure we'll talk about my season and how I coped. I spent a lot of time sleeping, so it didn't go as I hoped. I also did some writing. My words seemed to flow. Each and every one I penned will definitely help me grow. I do a lot of soul searching while I write. At times I leave myself hanging, other times I'm all right. Some of my poems are seriously heavy and hard to put on paper, especially the ones about him, my military raper. And the ones about my mom's suicide, in which I'm still kicking my backside, that if I could have a do-over, I'd take back the things I said, because I honestly believe she wouldn't be dead. And there's my sister that was murdered in 97. I am positive that she's up in heaven. She was 23 with a full free spirit, and she was good-hearted. She shouldn't have been murdered, and her life from us departed. And there's one I love that hurt me bad. I placed her above. She was my comrade. I came to find out that she was a real-life Olivia Benson. How could she perform that duty? I have no comprehension. And then there's Dennis. I never talk about him. I don't know how or even where to begin. He died of a massive heart attack caused by an overdose. We had a lot in common. Yes, we were extremely close. See, I had promised to meet him after work for breakfast. I went to his house, but then just drove home, leaving him in disgust. Later, I got a call from Harry, his best friend, who informed me that Dennis's life had come to an end. And then there's Renee and how I treat her so wrong. I used to beat her. Hell, I was King Kong. I don't know why she loves me like she does. If I were her, I just wouldn't, because I'm an abusive bitch, just like my mom. In the blink of an eye, I can become a deadly bomb. I fly off the handle and want to cause others pain, but you'll never, ever be able to me contain. Wow, I'm really depressed right now. Shaking my head. I cannot disavow. These emotions raging through me are filling me with much hated debris. I can't make it stop. I want to so badly bang my head on my desktop. I need to do something before it completely takes me. Why do I feel so damn beastly? I gotta go do something. Anything, please. I gotta do it now before I fucking freeze. What that is, I don't know, but I think I should have done it long ago. It's 0422. I'm back and my head isn't mine. Other than being exhausted, I'm fine. I didn't hit or break anything, but I'm not sure what I did. To tell you the truth, I wish now that I was off grid. What would I do there? I haven't a clue. I think I'll forget about my healing avenue. I'm sure I would get drunk sick and bring it to an end permanently real fucking quick. I know what they say, that's the easy way, but I've been trying now for 45 plus years every day, and it's hard for me to say I'm not getting much better. This poem could easily become my suicide letter, especially since I'm drinking bourbon straight. Am I using it to help me concentrate? Or the opposite, to help me forget? I know I'm going to put on a headset, listen to some mellow music to soothe my soul, because right now has a gigantic hole. Besides, I'm all talked out at this moment. I'm not here in the present, but I will see you later on. My mind is currently on the Autobahn. I'm surprised that I'm able to write because I feel like the deer in the headlights.
You got a lot of stuff in there, Miss Kimmer.
Yep.
How long does it take you to unpack something like that and put it on paper?
It depends, Jonathan. If I still have thought control and that I can control the thought control of me, I can put it out kind of quick, maybe an hour or so. But if I'm already googly goggly in the mind, it'll take me forever.
As a whole lot of information and thought process and emotions that were covered right there, and I'm glad you find a way to put it all on paper.
I have to, or I'll forget it.
Forget what? Huh? I'm sorry. No, I'm the same way, except I don't put it on paper. I just forget it. But I appreciate the effort that you go through to deal and put those raw emotions out there. They're not easy to unpack, I'm sure. And having written some things about myself, there are some things that I write that I'd rather other people not hear. And I think this is encouraging for me moving forward. So thank you.
I feel that I have to put it out there for me because it helps my mind from racing constantly. But if I'm able to get it down and I can reread it, I become really calm. And when I read it or put it out there in one of my books, I hope it helps somebody. I hope somebody says, I can't do this. Let me try to do this. Oh, I understand. I can see now. I can see that I'm growing. I can see that I'm going forward.
Yeah, I can actually respect that as well. You know, obviously it was very deep and uh, probably very difficult to say, especially on a live podcast. You know, so I commend you for having the courage to speak your art into the world right now. But I have a larger appreciation for it from a creative standpoint too, because people don't really understand how much courage it really truly takes to put yourself out there like that, whether it's poetry or music or painting, drawing, whatever the case may be, you know, because unfortunately we live in a society nowadays where it's joked on, or you know, people make fun of it on social media, or people, you know, they make themselves vulnerable, and then immediately after telling somebody, they feel like they made a huge mistake doing that. So uh you know, just the courage it takes to be able to do that, I can relate to that, and I appreciate what you just did. So I just wanted to say that from bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the one we joke, and this isn't a very joking situation, but we joke about it's tough to pick up the parts when Miss Kimmer reads her poetry. Not that it's bad, but it's got so many levels and so much. I mean, it takes you to another place that is so very real, and it needs to be expounded on. And Miss Kimmer works as a peer support leader. She's got a team of people that work with her. We've watched her grow as she's been part of the People's Patriot Project for a good chunk of time now, and it's just amazing watching people knowing that they're still in a battle that is still as intense as any battle that anyone's had with, you know, rounds whizzing by. I mean, it's the same battle. It's there is a social, there's an emotional, there's a whole spectrum of buildup within that battle, and that's what happens on the battlefront. That's the pieces that our men and women deal with, and they're still dealing with it. And that's the concept of bringing our soldiers all the way home, not part of the way home, not the physical aspect, but the stuff that was left back out on the battlegrounds. And again, I can't speak on behalf of Miss Kimmer, and I would never even try to. I don't know the feelings that she's feeling, and there's no way that I or anyone else can do that. The fact that she can sit here and share and want to help others with the battles that they're battling, we appreciate you, Kimmer.
Thank you, Mark.
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
Well, first off, I want to say brave woman. I do want to add too that when I filled out the questionnaire and everything about people to refer, this good friend of mine who actually has a mutual friend, Timothy, with you, Jason McNamara. He runs a veterans philanthropy, I think, through the No More 95, and I know that they're involved with the brain software technology that they do for free for veterans with PTSD. Their motto is that, you know, you paid everything, there's no need to pay more. And that's kind of why I thought I'd bring it up, especially when it comes to, you know, PTSD and the vulnerability, since I know mental health is so stigmatized in our society. And we still have a lot of work to do.
For sure.
We'll definitely be reaching out and getting them on and just sharing the mission that they have as well.
Yep.
Ryan, what's the next big pieces for you, brother?
Right now, the number one thing that I'm focusing on is making sure that my wife is good, considering everything that we've had to deal with the last, 40 hours, 30 some hours. it's been a huge wrench in how we wanted to start our 2025. But the good news is that it was something that we found now, and it's not as serious as it could have been, because a lot of people who have this kind of condition, they don't know. And I learned a lot about it, actually, talking to the doctors and just researching it. Most people that have AVM actually have it from birth, and they don't know. And I'm just thankful that we found it now, where we can do something about it and take care of it and cut it out, rather than when she's 40 and she has a stroke or she has a seizure that, permanently can damage her or lose her life, so that's really my number one priority. I'm trying to keep up with the professional side of that, and try to work both sides of that spectrum. I know it's going to be a little bit of getting used to over the next 6 to 8 weeks while all this is going on, but I'm going to try my best to do what I'm needing to do for the business, for from the bottom, because like I said, and like I was going to continue on saying, to answer your question that you just asked, we've got a lot of big things that I'm currently in the process of doing for the business, that I actually just kind of solidified a couple days ago as well. So it was the night that she had her migraine, which they actually confirmed was a neurological seizure, which is pretty crazy. But a lot of big things are happening with the music. Looking at somebody who's going to be investing into the business, a little bit of money invested and a lot of connections. They've actually been a manager for a lot of really big legendary groups like Earth, Wind and Fire and Kiss, and they've been in the music game as a manager for over 50 years. The guy's like 74 years old, 73 years old, and he has more life in him than I do, like more energy than I do. And I'm 36. So I'm really excited to have him on the team. And, that got solidified. So here in the near future, I'm going to be going to New York City in the near future. I'll be going, and I'll be recording with a very legendary producer who used to produce for he still kind of does, but his name is Jerry Wanda. He works at Platinum Sound recording studio, and it's like the hub for New York City, music for recording. So anybody who is somebody has to go through that music studio, if you're really, doing music in New York. So I'll be able to work with that guy, with Jerry Wanda. He used to produce for the Fugees, and he just had Lauryn Hill in his studio just recently. So a lot of big names go through that, and I'm really excited to work with him. And this guy's going to bring a lot more other big opportunities for the business, and I'm really excited to kind of have him help us get to where we want to be. So I'll be, if you guys follow me on social media, or if you don't, I hope you do. If you liked the music, which I hope you did, but keep up with what's going on with the social media, because I'm going to be updating as everything happens, and it's going to be some really exciting stuff. So
outstanding. We're going to finish our last segment, and then we'll close with your last song. Okay, Ryan?
Yeah, whatever you got to do.
We're getting to that point. If you guys got a little time to hang out after, we do a post-show piece where we do a little collaborative talk and see what we can do. If you got to go, you got to go. This is you've already given us your hour. We're at an hour 35 now. And so whatever you guys need to do, Ryan, I really do appreciate you. I appreciate both of you coming on, taking your time, but also knowing that there's a loved one that is in need of support right now, and just the shortness of the information. I appreciate you, man. I would have been we're always 100% okay when our guests can't make it. But I was just like, this is a for real one. This is one that, and so we appreciate you. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
we always end and close up our show with our final thoughts, and it just something usually creeps into either all of our minds, some of our minds, sometimes nothing really gets to any of us. Jonathan is one of those ones that is always. I don't understand why he's not a poet as well, because he really does a great job. If you're not following Jonathan Crochet, grab him on Facebook. He usually does a morning Deeper's Thought little segment that is inspiration. What's the word I was trying to even think of there? Inspiring, inspirational would be the same word, wouldn't it? Moving forward, but just thought-provoking, and really is working towards that key component of we are trying to be a better version of ourselves tomorrow than we are today. And so, Jonathan, go ahead and lead off, brother.
I don't know if y'all have seen the private chat, Ryan, but if y'all don't have to leave right after the show closes, I'd like to get a second for you and Aman to talk and get contact information or whatever as well, you know. But moving into thought, you mentioned it during the show, Ryan, and there was some stuff from Aman that was talked about resilience too. As you know, no matter how many no's you get, no matter how many times you try and don't quite make it, you start, and I think Aman had mentioned it too. Like, we always kind of want that perfection, and you start and you don't get the start you wanted to get, and so you just kind of get discouraged and stop. And you know, some progress is better than none. And this has gone back. I don't know why my mind's here, but this has gone back probably 2 years ago. And Mark said something like, if you take 10 steps forward and then you stumble and you fall back 7 of those steps, you still had forward progress, right? So resilience is something that Aman mentioned as well. And I think that's really where this comes into play is, you know, you don't always get the Disney story ending or the start you want to what you're working on. But if you have resilience and patience and drive, then you'll get where you're headed eventually. You just got to stick it out.
Thank you, Jonathan. Aman, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, I guess, really to build up on what Jonathan said, and I think really can speak for the theme of this episode. It's really just don't really let your expectations define your identity. I mean, I kind of am reminded about, you know, there was a quote that I saw years ago. It was, you know, asking, are you sure you knew what your identity was before the world was going to define it? And I kind of look at, you know, let's say, for example, when people get out of the military, or maybe sometimes some people might have like a New Year's resolution they don't stick to for so long. I think it just really came down to having like an expectation, where I think that it's just better to have none, and realize that's kind of what makes the difference between resilience versus perfection, because you already have, you know, this idea of what's supposed to happen, where I think you need to trust that the universe will have a better plan than you do if you stick to your convictions. And, you know, be transparent with yourself, not just honest.
Thank you for being here, brother. Mr. Trimmer, your final thoughts?
Resiliency.
There it is.
The cast iron skillet. You can get a cast iron skillet, brand spanking new. She'll work for you, do whatever you want. You can throw her away, get her all rusted. She doesn't matter. Ride her hard, put her away wet, bring her back in, give her a little love, and she's back. But yeah, that's what that means to me. Tonight was a good show. Th30ry, I'd like to pick on you a little bit here.
Go ahead.
When you said you were from Kentucky and I listened to your music, I was like, he's not a real Kentuckian because he talks damn fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I was originally born and raised in Chicago, in the city. And, you know, I had never left home until I joined the Marine Corps in 2010, and I was stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina after I went to school and whatnot. And when that's where I met my wife, actually, back in 2013. And after I got out in 2015, we stayed in Jacksonville for a little while, and then Hurricane Florence hit the Carolinas back in 2018 in September, and we lost everything. So we actually came to Louisville to wait out the storm, but we had nowhere to go back to. So I've been spoiled. We just started over here in Louisville because we like it here. So we just basically started fresh with the clothes in my car for all of us. And it was a really rough thing, which kind of contributed to that panic attack that got me started doing music. So everything happens for a reason, right? But no, you won't hear a country accent or anything out of me. My family likes to poke fun, though, sometimes, because there are a few things that I do say that have a little bit of a Southern twang, but that's only because I've spent so much time down in the southern part of the United States. So it's like it rubs off on you a little bit, but I always claim Chicago. That's home.
I live up in northern Kentucky.
Okay. Very nice.
Uh,
It's a beautiful state. I love it here. Louisville is nice. It's a hell of a lot better than Jacksonville, North Carolina. That place
well,
was
yeah, you
terrible.
got all the distilleries there.
Yeah, well, actually, so fun fact about me is I've actually January 1st, this past January 1st, so last week, I'm actually hitting 1 year of sober from alcohol, being sober. So I didn't have a problem. Thank you. I didn't necessarily have a problem as far as alcoholism, but I did feel like it could have turned into it because when I start drinking, I don't know when to stop. So I would drink myself stupid. And then I would be hungover for 2 days. I can't party like I used to when I was 23, 24 years old and I was active duty in the Marine Corps, where really all you can do is drink alcohol and PT. So I just decided to stop because I felt like it was getting a little bit too much in the way with my creative mind frame, and I wasn't feeling as motivated when I was hungover to do anything, schoolwork or write music or make any kind of creative content. So I just decided to stop cold turkey, and January 1st was a year. So the distilleries are cool, though. I do miss drinking a little bit, kind of, sort of, but no, it's a nice place here. I love it.
Miss Eichmann, final thoughts.
Yeah, I've been to Louisville once, and I will agree with you. And though I didn't go drinking necessarily at any of the distilleries, it's very cool to go visit them.
Did you see the Louisville Slugger Bat?
No, we didn't make that. I actually left early, and then I didn't. No, I had the trip planned though, and then I was going to go back because my son wrestled in college, and they were going to wrestle down there. So we had this whole week. My parents were coming down, and I'm like, "You got to see this and this." And then we signed up for the tours, and then he got injured. All right, then we didn't go. You know, I'm like, let's still go. Nobody was just going not to see Austin. So
yeah.
I really would love to come again. We talk about it quite often and just haven't scheduled it. So, and the horses like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Is beautiful.
Yeah. Derby weekend here is nuts. They have like schools canceled and all sorts of stuff for Derby events. So it's a whole other lifestyle out here, but definitely come back. And if you're in town, let me know.
Oh, for sure. I absolutely will. I mean, I got excited hearing that Will's got to see you live because that's always always. And same Aman. Did Peterson explain his nickname Pause? We all have these little nicknames. I don't think he has great big paws, but maybe he has great big paws. But he likes to put them on people because we kind of pride ourselves on making relationships with our guests that we get on here. We don't just toss you and be like, thanks, see you never, right? We like to keep in touch and put you in our network and keep you in our network. And I know looks like you and Aman will have a conversation for, after the show. So that when that stuff happens, we're like, yep, not a coincidence. Somehow that was guided to us and through us. And we we think that's very cool. So thanks you guys both for being on. And I'm going to look further into metabolism with Aman as well. That is, it's always been a curiosity to me to figure this out. I hate that age, but I'm at that age where women get where they need to start paying attention a little more to metabolism and their issues and the knowledge that was shared. Thank you so much for that. And we hope to see a lot more from both of you as we go forward. And then next week, we have a guest by the name of Ranger Rick, who will be coming in to share the world of Ranger Rick. I don't want to leave out the fact that we, as veterans, being on the show is so much appreciated. And we do also support first responders. And so we're building that base. I'm on the outline, on sidelines, I guess, and not making a judgment, but I think sometimes it's not, well, the first responders we meet are still sometimes in the mix. And so it's harder to share with the stigma unless they've already had a major piece taken care of. And so, yeah, anyway, so we'll see more from our first responders as well. I do want to throw out, though not an official sponsor, we are shared out there on Heroes Media Group with Adam Bird at the helm. I just was glancing at the email earlier today. His newsletter is out for the new year. A lot of big things happening. And you can catch his weekly wrap up on Friday mornings. I tell you time, but I work at that time, so not 100% sure. But it's Friday mornings. So try to catch Adam on Friday mornings on Heroes Media Group as well, which is also where you can see Willis and a bunch of our other friends doing their podcasts as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks to everyone being here tonight.
Yeah, Adam runs his show roughly around 9 o'clock, and I don't know that I would ever see it either, but I know it's at around 9 o'clock for some reason.
Disclaimer right there, just a disclaimer.
Yeah. My final thoughts. My head goes into absolute spin mode all the time. It's not a gift. It's a torment. It is what it is, but I learned to manage it. And I sit and listen to Jonathan at the beginning of the show, and we hear the conversation about the sex trade and slavery that still exists. And the first thing I want to shout out is shame on you, America. And his stats and his data doesn't take into account America. It takes into account the world. But if you go and you do the research, America is the #1 consumer in this space. And it's an absolute frustration that grown-ass adults can't freaking figure it out. Keep your hands to yourself. And at least, and again, we've got people that have dealt in the world, in the realms of raping. There are just not good people in the world. And then we sit and we listen to the stories about what's happening out on the West Coast in California, and trying to figure out that whole narrative, and knowing my heart breaks for people that have like catastrophic loss. It's stuff that's just irreplaceable, but many of them have their lives, and unfortunately some of them have lost their lives. And we have people that are willing and wanting to help, and that's an exciting piece. My frustration with that comes into the fact that a lot of people don't help until we see these scenarios happening. When it's too late. We have a plan with the People's Patriot Project. I don't know that we have a plan to fix a situation in this manner, and it does baffle my mind a little bit that over the short 53 years I've lived my life, 55, that we've not seen anything of this magnitude in this space as far as fires are concerned. That it blows me away. It's astounding, and because our channels are so delicate. I mean, you think back to Katrina, you think back to the tsunamis that took out Indonesia. You go and you there's major things that is letting us know that we're not in control, folks. We're not in control. And I don't have an answer or solution to any of those things. Well, I have an answer and a solution to taking care of humanity. And the thing is, we have to be involved. We have to be engaged. We have to be upfront. Those are my final thoughts. Ryan, your final thoughts, and then we dip into your last song.
Final thoughts. Well, kind of just brushing up on everything else I said. Just I try every day to really be a little more aware of everything that I have and everything that I've experienced and how it kind of plays into my life and where it's at currently. And just kind of try to remind everybody, even though it's hard sometimes, you have to really be thankful for what you have. And a lot of that stuff, like in the case of the fires or Katrina or whatever natural disaster or anything can happen really in the world and life. And some of those things or all those things can be taken away in an instant. So really just kind of be thankful for everything that you have. And like Aman was saying, trust the universe that it has a plan for you. Right. And I'm not saying to just, Jesus, take the wheel, but at the same time, if you want something, go after it and be selfish about it. Because nobody's gonna come help you in a lot of ways. You gotta do those things on your own sometimes. And I have to remind myself of that. So I guess for my final thoughts, just more words of motivation than final thoughts, but don't let people tell you how to live your life. Be selfish with your passion, and if you really want it, go after it. And something that I really like that David Willis always says is be someone's stranger. I really, really, really like that whole concept because you never really know what somebody's going through. And I consider myself very empathetic, and I can really kind of tune into that kind of stuff. So, just show compassion for people, because again, you never know what they're going through. You never know what's on their plate. Like if I would have never said anything about my wife's condition that we learned, in the last 24, 36 hours, you would never even think that there was something going on with me. Right. So you'll just never really be able to know. So be there for somebody, be someone's stranger. A lot of people are more likely to tell a complete stranger something that's going on than someone they love, simply because they want to not worry the people they love about their problems or their mental struggles and emotional struggles, things like that. I know that I personally right now am going through some mental health therapy to help with my anxiety and my stress for issues that I've been through, and it's helping. So, I don't want to talk to my mother about that, or my stepdad or my wife, and make them think that something's wrong. And so being someone's stranger is a big thing for me. I really like how he incorporates that into his podcast, and I think it's a very powerful message. And if people practice it, I think that you'd see a huge change in how humanity interacts with each other and spread peace, love, and positivity, man. Just be a good fucking person. I don't think it's that hard. So I love you guys. Thank you all for having me tonight. And I hope everybody has a phenomenal fucking 2025.
I love it. Thank you, brother. One last thing. Give us a quick little talk. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. I forgot I sent you this one. So this one, it was fun. It was strictly fun. I don't know if you guys are familiar with he's a major artist. His name's Travis Scott. He's someone I love his music. I think he's ungodly creative. And he's got a very unique sound. And I was in the studio one night and I heard this beat and I was like, all right, I'm going to do something to it. And for whatever reason, it had the kind of spacey, real trippy vibe for the instrumental. And that's what I usually do when I write a song. I write it based on the vibe that I get off of listening to the beat or making it, whatever it may be. So I went on a Travis Scott kick and I just wanted to have fun and make a Travis Scott style song. So you'll hear the influence in there, but it was just a fun song, man. And the ultimate message behind that song was with the lyrics, I guess you could say, you know, a lot of people, you know, they don't think that I got what it takes. And so it's like, oh yeah, you don't think so? Watch me do it. And that's kind of the message behind the song. So
here we go. This is Theory with Oh Yeah.
Not to take it serious and I should do it just for fun, The industry is cutthroat, it really isn't meant for everyone, But I've been knowing that I'm built for it. All the blood I spilled for it got me like, Progress is a process. Everybody always want that overnight success. That shit is nonsense. I'm just riding on my own wave. Give a fuck about what you saying, I make my own fate. Careful who I let inside my circle, it's a closed gate. All this work we putting in, at least we know the toll's paid. Now it's time to flex. Haters only mad because I'm next. The music speaks, I'm better than the rest. Don't believe me, then just put me to the test. Ain't a damn thing that I can't do. Always went this hard while you acting brand new. Hit the Vegas Strip, about to beat Japan too. You ain't talking hustle, I don't understand you. That's why they got me like, oh yeah. They don't think that I'm the one, I'll be like, oh yeah. Told me not to take it serious and I should do it just for fun, oh yeah. The industry is cutthroat, it really isn't meant for everyone, oh yeah. But I've been knowing that I'm built for it. All the blood I spilled for it got me like, yeah. Ain't no surprise though. They doubt the boy, but I could do this with my eyes closed. They said I'd never get with Logic, then I won with a song I did for fun. Next day I'm flying out to Plain Idol, headlining out of state, yeah. Guess that's what happens when you working every day, yeah. Y'all should've believed me when I said this ain't a phase. I would tell you it's a dream and you would say that I was dazed and confused. I don't lose, I'ma keep doing what I do. Climbing up the ladder as I just enjoy the view. Ready for whatever, I just hope you're ready too. I'm just proving what I already knew. It's overdue, oh yeah. They don't think that I'm the one, I'll be like, oh yeah. Told me not to take it serious and I should do it just for fun, oh yeah. The industry is cutthroat, it really isn't meant for everyone, oh yeah. But I've been knowing that I'm built for it. All the blood I spilled for it got me like, yeah.